China declared a war that would burn the dollar without return, and Trump began to pay the price for his recklessness. While there was talk about the collapse of a strong union in Europe, an Asian union was born, and it seemed it would not be born weak. An entity that appeared gigantic emerged to overturn the balance of power in the world and threatened to break America's economic hegemony and its unpredictable leader. The alliance that Trump dismissed was a Chinese-Japanese-Korean partnership that finally decided to stand up to his trade war. Trump's game, the war in which he imposed sanctions and raised customs duties and decided to force the world into submission, is reaching its breaking point. Are we facing a global economic earthquake that will shake the throne of the dollar? How will this alliance become the nightmare that haunts Trump in his new term? In this video, we'll reveal how these three countries united to confront American pressure, and how this economic monster could turn the tables on the United States, threatening the future of its economy. Follow along, because what's happening now may be the beginning of the end of American supremacy, and Trump's last stand. Trump's game ended in March 2025. Tensions escalated. Trade between the United States and the rest of the world, especially Asian countries, hit a boiling point. After U.S. President Donald Trump announced new customs duties on imports of cars and spare parts at a rate of 25%, Asian nations, particularly Japan, China, and South Korea, began seeking to strengthen economic cooperation to face the challenges of American trade policies. The story started with Trump's decision to implement protectionist trade policies aimed at reducing the U.S. trade deficit. But these policies didn't just stop at benefiting America, they went further, causing harm by imposing customs duties on a wide range of imported products, with a sharp focus on goods from Asia. This sparked tension in trade relations with China, Japan, and South Korea, countries that heavily rely on exporting to the American market. The economic losses from these customs duties quickly piled up. China, the largest exporter of cars and spare parts to the United States, could see losses estimated at billions of dollars in the automobile sector alone, due to the 25% duties. Japan, the second largest exporter of cars to the U.S., shipped about 1.5 million cars in 2024 alone. With these new duties, that number could drop significantly, hammering the Japanese economy. South Korea, another major player, sent over 800,000 cars to the American market. Trump's duties will inevitably slash those exports too. This is the main reason these three countries banded together. But there are other factors at play. The impact of customs duties on supply chains is massive. These three nations rely on complex, interconnected networks, and the duties threaten to disrupt them, pushing the countries to strengthen cooperation to keep production and trade flowing. They're also looking to reduce dependence on the American market by diversifying their trade and expanding agreements among themselves. But what will this union look like, and what are its details? Signs of it emerged at a meeting of trade ministers from China, Japan, and South Korea in Seoul at the end of March 2025. They agreed to bolster economic and trade cooperation to tackle shared challenges. The ministers committed to speeding up negotiations on a free trade agreement between the three nations to promote regional and global trade. They also believe their countries should deepen collaboration on supply chains. Think semiconductors, with raw materials from China feeding into Japan, and South Korea's electronic chip industries. China, in turn, wants to buy more of those chips. They even agreed to enhance dialogue on export controls. Will this union achieve its goals? And more importantly, what is its goal in the first place? The primary aim is to influence American policies and rein in Trump. By enhancing cooperation, these countries could blunt the impact of U.S. customs duties, possibly forcing Washington to rethink its trade strategy. Beyond that, it's about strengthening regional economic integration in Asia, creating a bloc capable of facing global challenges. And the repercussions could reshape the world economy. We're witnessing a restructuring of global alliances. This partnership might threaten the European Union, which is already struggling. Many believe its end is near. Stronger ties between China, Japan, and South Korea could redirect global supply chains, impacting multinational companies and redrawing the economic map. Trump is paying the price. This alliance will hit America hard, directly and indirectly. The U.S. stands to lose much of its commercial clout in Asia, as these allied countries boost trade among themselves and cut their reliance on exports to the United States. In 2024, America imported roughly $800 billion in goods from these nations. Now it could face shortages of vital materials as they push back. And this tripartite alliance might not stay small. It could grow to include countries like India, or even Russia, further eroding American trade dominance in the region. With duties on Asian products, imported goods will get pricier for American consumers. Back in 2024, 40% of electronics in the US market came from China, South Korea, and Japan. If those imports shrink, American companies will scramble for costlier alternatives, driving up inflation. This alliance could also deliver a brutal blow to the US tech sector. Giants like Apple, Intel, and Tesla rely heavily on components from China, South Korea, and Japan. If these countries restrict exports of critical materials, American production could grind to a halt. Take Apple. It sources 70% of its components from China and South Korea. Export restrictions could cripple it. And don't forget, the US exports about $300 billion in goods annually to these three countries. Think aircraft, agricultural products, and advanced tech. If China, Japan, and South Korea hit back with counterduties or cut purchases, entire American industries will feel the pain. China alone imports $25 billion in US agricultural goods. Any restrictions could spark a crisis in farming. The aviation sector's at risk too. Japan and South Korea are huge buyers of Boeing planes. If they switch to Europe's Airbus, Boeing could lose massive contracts. Rising costs might force American companies to lay off workers or scale back production, spiking unemployment in tech and manufacturing. As America's influence wanes, China's global clout will grow, forming a powerful economic entity that bolsters Beijing's economic and political might. If these three countries pull off an integrated alliance, East Asia could become an independent economic powerhouse, one that genuinely threatens America's hegemony and shakes its economy to the core. If this bloc keeps expanding and cuts its reliance on the US market, Trump could find himself trapped in a maze with no easy way out.